precious gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair in joyful strength, and let us sing. Advance Australia
Beautiful work there from Kim Cooper. Now, many would think that that was the most beautiful voice in the stadium, but I got news for you. John Casey, the sweet dulcet tones, he's caught up with someone live.
Thanks very much, Felix. Yes, I've got the Chief Operating Officer of the Tassie JackJumpers, Darren Smith, with me. A 200 NBL gamer himself. It started with Hobart Tassie Devils back in 1994 for you. Can you believe where Hobart and Tassie is now in basketball?
It's unbelievable. I mean, what a story. 3 years ago it all started, and we've made playoffs every year, and another finals campaign this year. Super exciting for us.
And it's not just excitement on the island. We've got expat Tasmanians here. Eddie Ockenden, the Olympian. Toby Nankervis is here. Jack Rewalt's all over it. It's great for Tassie.
Yeah, we're feeling the love, mate. And not the guys that are sort of living in Melbourne or mainland, but we've got a massive contingent that have come over as well. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for us. We're really looking forward to it.
And no doubt there's confidence you can win.
Yeah, the guys think, we think we're good enough. It's just about executing at this stage. So, it's been a good season. Playoffs have been great. So, here we go.
Appreciate your time. Good luck.
Thanks.
Well, Melbourne United chasing their third under Dean Vickerman. The Tassie JackJumpers looking for their first as an organisation and under head coach and spiritual star, Scott Roth. So for the JackJumpers, what are they going to have to do to get it done?
With the atmosphere in here being so electric, it's absolutely popping. It's going to be a zoo early, Andrew. Tasmania must not forget who they are. They must be true to themselves and maintain their playing identity. If they do that, they'll be very strong going into halftime.
Yeah, they're very good at controlling the tempo, but they're up against, I think, the best defensive team, the deepest defensive team, who are hardened. They don't want to have to go through what they went through against the Illawarra Hawks. Now, they might be forced into it, but early on, I expect a ferocious Melbourne United to come out from the tip.
Well, for those who are wondering whether we're going to see slick back hair Scott Roth, if you just saw it there, he's got the Brill cream out back. He's slicked that thing back. Those comments from Dean Vickerman have got our man fired up, and he's going to lead this team. Now, Melbourne United, of course, the known commodity within this league. How do they do it?
Well, I think they've got to get the tempo up, push Tasmania out of their offensive structure. If they can do that, then they'll have to deal with the possibility, Andrew, that Jordan Crawford starts to make plays. But I think they'd rather do that than have to deal with constant system from Tasmania.
Yeah, lock into Jack McVeigh and Milton Doyle, those two. If you shut them down, it's hard to see if they've got enough points. There's a lot of high quality, but as far as putting points on the board, their system is going to be tested.
Now, it's always one to follow the grand final MVP. It can be always a contentious one, but for you guys, who do you expect to be playing the most pivotal part in this series?
Well, there's one superstar out there, and that's Chris Goulding. And in moments like this, you want to have a player like that on your side. So if I was going early for an MVP, I'm going CG43.
Well, he's won it before, but I'm going to go with Joe Lawala-Chul Jr. The big fella down low, he's got a massive challenge with him with the two bigs down with the JackJumpers, so I think that he's going to have a big one.
Well, Joe Lawala-Chul is certainly going to have his hands full with Will Magnay. We saw Sam Froling come out and have some big games in this arena, but the JackJumpers, they are not going to be scared of playing at John Cain, a 5-1 record at Melbourne United, and they're going to have to dig deep for their first championship. Melbourne United, Tassie JackJumpers, Game 1 starts now.
The JackJumpers and United. An underdog and a powerhouse.
And united they stand. Chris Goulding weeps with joy. Melbourne have their championship.
One franchise steeped in success. The other still paving their way.
DJ Vasiljevic, a dagger. A heartbreaker for Tasmania.
Chasing the ultimate glory. Now. these titans collide.
Melbourne United are the benchmark. The benchmark all season long. The very best team in the competition.
History awaits.
A genuine contender once again. The JackJumpers just never say die. The JackJumpers are headed to the Championship Series.
Battle-hardened and ready.
For the second time in their 3 seasons, the league's newest franchise will return to the biggest stage. Island defended. This is prime time playoff basketball at its very, very best. What a series. Melbourne United punch their ticket and will take in home court advantage.
The stage is set. The Championship Series starts now.
After 20 thrilling rounds, an epic play-in series, and a grueling semi-final series, we are down to the very last 2. Melbourne United have led the way all season long at the top of the table, and for the Tasmania JackJumpers, they've had some bumps, but have they hit peak form at the very right time? It's Major City versus entire state. United has won versus Defend the Island. It's Melbourne versus Tasmania in a 5-game championship series, and this is how we got there. The road to the championship series is never easy, and both teams were tested all the way through. I'm Jack Heverin. It is my honour and privilege to be here inside John Cain Arena. Massive crowd for the opening game of the championship series. Melbourne and Tasmania just 2.5 minutes away from the opening tip-off. Nerily Meadows, Andrew Gaze in front of the Melbourne United bench and in front of a big Melbourne crowd today.
Thank you very much, Jack. More than 9,000 expected here at John Cain Arena. Home court advantage. They've got the depth. They're well rested. They've been top of the table all season long. Gazy, is this United's to lose?
Well, they go into this series as the favourites, there's no doubt about that, and that's what happens when you win the regular season in a comprehensive fashion that they do. But the little asterisk next to it is actually the team down the other end, where they've beaten them 2 out of the 3 times. So it's going to be a big challenge for Dean Vickerman to come up with a strategy to push the JackJumpers out of what they do best, and that is control the tempo and get through their structure.
One veteran, one leader I want to talk about in particular is Matthew Dellavedova. The hustle, the intensity that he has shown so far this postseason. How does it hold them in good stead for this series?
Yeah, and he was inspirational. They wouldn't be in this series here if it wasn't for this man on your screen, Matthew Dellavedova. He was a 3-ball in game 1 that pulled off one of the all-time great comebacks in NBL history. And then from then on, it was the tenacious approach at both ends of the floor. He was able to get to the cup. He was able to play some uber elite defense and get things going Melbourne United's way. They're going to need another big effort from him.
And when I spoke to him before the game, I asked him what did he take out for the NBA championship that he won with Cleveland. He said the hustle and winning those loose balls was exactly what we've been seeing. Well, John Casey and Derek Rucker are also part of our team.
Thanks very much, Nerily. What a big occasion this is. And the JackJumpers have got so many strong numbers in their sides. And not the least of which, Derek, is the fact that they're the only team in the NBL that has won a finals game in each of the last 3 years. They believe they can win this.
And it's a full credit to Scott Roth and the way he has established this program and how they play and what they believe in. They rebound the basketball, they defend, and they take good shots offensively. They'll need to do that early to really put United on the back foot.
Championship up for grabs for Jack McVeigh, but also his hopes of getting to the Paris Olympics or maybe an NBA gig hang on this as well.
Well, I think the NBA is something everybody wants to strive for, but whether it's there for Jack McVeigh, he'll have to lift his game another couple of notches to show that he's NBA material.
Plenty of pressure on Jordan Crawford here because he's 2 of 15 in his last 2 games. His last 5 games, 8 points and just 19% from deep, half his season average.
He has struggled, and Scott Roth actually placed him on the bench for a while in those 4 quarters. So I'm really keen to see what his mental fortitude is like, if he can put that behind him and come out here and deliver in game 1.
Let's bring it on, Jack.
Can't wait for this one, Case. Thank you very much. to an Australian audience and, in fact, a global audience, wherever you are around the world. So great to have your company. Here is the starting five for the Tasmania JackJumpers. Will Magnate in the starting lineup today, Andrew Gaze. He may very well be the most important player in the series.
It is, and that's a slight change from what we've seen, and it's been pretty consistent for Melbourne United as well. That is a star-studded lineup, and Shea Ely and Luke Travers, the defense, and you've got a huge crowd here, Jack, but there's a lot of JackJumpers fans.
There is.
When we heard them ask to cheer, a lot of JackJumpers fans have made the trip over to support their team.
The championship series between Melbourne and Tasmania is away. And it's the JackJumpers in their away strip, in possession first. Milton Doyle, who roared to life at the back end of the semi-final series against Perth. Off to Jordan Crawford. His first jumper no good.
And a really good possession right there, Andrew. Crawford gets a great look early on, and that will do his confidence a lot of good.
Well, he would have liked to have been able to finish some plays, because he has had a very poor series against the Perth Wildcats on the offensive end, and down the stretch, Sean McDonald played those crunch time minutes. Now you see the beautiful execution. They get it from one side to the other. They've got a couple of looks as they go through it, but that middle third where they're coming off either the on-ball screen or the dribble handoff, and you got Magnay with that athleticism rolling to the rim. It is tough to guard.
And I know that you mentioned that Crawford missed that first shot, but I like quality possessions.
Oh, dear.
Oh, gee.
That's an airball.
That's unusual at this level and may be indicative of some of the pressure that has been felt.
And that's short as well.
Burgers early.
Championship burgers, the code word is dodge. All of that inside the opening minute of game one. As Drewy said, a little indicator of the nerves from Will Magnate. Dellavedova leaving that short too.
Well, Drewy, I'm going to be curious to see if Delhi can have the same success with that move against taller defender and Anthony Drimmick.
There's Magnate down the lane, and Tasmania. Listen to the noise from the JackJumpers fans.
That's three high-quality possessions by the JackJumpers to start this one off.
Shea Elliott, the Foot Locker player of the game in game three, in their win over Illawarra. His first look no good. Crawford guarded by Travers. Underneath for Magnate.
Well, Drewy, they're 4 for 4 in terms of quality possession. To Melbourne United's fortune, it's only resulted in 4 points. But right now, Tasmania looks sharp on the offensive end.
Here's the Wala Chul at the other end. You know, the big men are off to good starts for both teams.
And you saw an example of that last possession. Crawford comes down, and a lot of teams with their pace of play just want to put heat on the rim, but he was controlled, wait for the troops to arrive, and then attacked and had Magnate to dish it off to.
Hilly downhill, finds the Wala Chul. 4 for Magnate, 4 for the Wala Chul.
And I thought Shea Ely did a fantastic job in game 3 against Illawarra of getting feet in the paint, attacking the rim. And then he was able to get his confidence up and hit a couple of big threes as well.
Anthony Drimmick trying to get busy on Chris Golding. That'll be big for his confidence. Game 3 against Perth, he was plus 15, Anthony Drimmick. Had a big say in that result.
It is, and he's not a high-volume shooter.
That man is.
Well, he is from the three-point line as well. Yeah, it was across the 3 games they've played this year, he's averaging 12 field goal attempts. 9 of them come from the three-point line.
Magnate all alone again.
The dump-off pass, the help, and then the smarts to be able to find where the help's coming from and deliver the ball.
And Dean Vickerman not messing around, going right to his bench. He'll bring in Ian Clark and Ariel Haporti. Obviously not happy with the defensive standard being set by this starting group. That's a foul on Illy.
The #1 defensive rating team in the competition, Melbourne United. You don't often see them get scored on as easily as they have been. Here's Golding from the corner.
I hear what you're saying, Derek, but I'm not sure this wasn't part of a pre-planned substitution pattern that they want to get into. Get some guys in early because they want to play at such an intense level that they feel like you need the fresh bodies out there on a more regular rotation.
And Magnay also subbed out of the game early. Marcus Lee, who this time last season was with Melbourne United, now with the JackJumpers in. Travels from long range. Only 18% from deep in the semi-final series. That'll be good for his confidence.
Well, he gets a lot of great looks from the three. Obviously, teams kind of pick their poison with United offensively. Great execution there. McVeigh dumps it off to Lee. And Tasmania are just peppering the paint for buckets.
Well, they are, and the ease, which relative ease that they're able to get in there, it's requiring their help. And they're finding and making the extra pass, and just a little bit of confusion on the offensive end that time for Melbourne United.
Well, this is a lingering kind of issue, Drewy, that we saw in the Illawarra series with Melbourne United being able to just give up buckets easily to Illawarra, and this is a better offensive team. They need to tighten it up.
5 of 8 from the field to start the game, the JackJumpers, and that's because all of their looks have been from well inside the paint. Trimmick and Golding go at it off the ball. Doyle left it short, second time around. Stepped his way through traffic and scores.
They just are testing Melbourne United every single possession. They move the ball so well and get it from side to side. It really puts a lot of pressure on your defensive rules. So you'll have some defensive rules about how you're going to help out. And if it just comes down that first 10, 15 seconds, you know what's going on. But when they get through the set, that's where things start to loosen up for them.
But Andrew, we know also when you play 15 to 18 seconds of defense and still get scored on, it's demoralizing. It starts to deteriorate your belief in your defensive system and capabilities.
Andrew Gaze and Derek Rucker, two legends of this league in commentary. John Casey and Nerily Meadows courtside for game 1 of the championship series. Travers for his second three, won't count. Melbourne's first miss from outside in the game so far.
And cross them all, they'd much prefer Luke Travers taking those semi-contested threes as Trimmick again gets to the line than him getting to the rim. He faked the drive and they're there to cover it, and they're not conceding the three ball with him, but they are just making him have to think about it enough to put some pressure on him.
So with the frequency with which we're seeing Tasmania score at the cup, Drew, was this the game plan, or you think this is something that's just happening where they're getting their guy, lining them up after they've moved the ball and attacking?
Well, I think they saw what Illawarra has done, what did to Melbourne United, and I think that their system is so entrenched that they can go to various options with great ease, because incorporated in their system are those opportunities. It could be the three ball. They take more threes than anyone in the competition, or they're the best three-point shooting team in the competition. So automatically teams are going to be spread, and they're taking advantage of it.
Game high 4-point lead. JackJumpers, if there was any nerves being away from home, they've certainly settled. But Porty off the window. Has been a handful for Tasmania across the season. Has had 3 good games, 15-7, 8-9, and 13-8. And the next start is on the board. Is Sean McDonald. Feet set, rattles out.
I didn't like that defensive move, leaving McDonald open, one of the best three-point shooters in the league.
Also winner of the NBL's Most Improved Player Award. After being nominated last season, his growth has been outstanding to watch, Sean McDonald. He's going to be a big part of the JackJumpers' future. He's playing in the biggest game of his life today. Kyle Bowen, also in his first championship series. Hands off to Clark, step back. And Lee kept Porty off the glass.
And Drew, we practice shell defense from the moment basically you start playing at a decent level. And look at the JackJumpers' defensive structure and shape as Doyle throws it up and Lee blows a bunny.
Clark downhill. There's Bowen, who gave up the three. Optimum look for Dellavedova. Bottom of the net.
And it's in that semi-transition, they get it really deep. and they collapse to take away the drive, and they leave Delhi open. And I reckon a bit of that's by design, but perhaps not that open.
Shot 38% across the semi-final series as Jack McVeigh fouled in the act of shooting 3.
Now, Cal Bowen's had trouble throughout this postseason with fouls. As Delhi gets one in rhythm. That's a great look, Drewy. Early in the first quarter, step into one wide open, and that's just a...
McVeigh with the leg kick out. He actually crossed his right leg across his left one to draw that contact. And then...
No movement from the Melbourne United support staff, so they're going to live with it.
Yeah, and just on their rebound contest as well. I saw Brimmick and Golding go at it, and Golding went to the floor, and Trimmick was very demonstrative in his advice to the official that there might have been a little acting going on. Just trying to set the tone with the officials as well. And there's a filling out process. What are the limits that these referees are going to tolerate in this game?
Vaughan Maybury, Michael Aylan and Mitch Hare, our officials in charge for game 1.
Right, here we go. Yes, you can run.
As Jack McVeigh sits down. 3 points to his name early on. Majuk Deng into the lineup. At one stage, with a serious ankle injury, it didn't look as though Majuk Deng was going to get back at all, but was vital in the semi-final series. Good luck stopping that.
Big time shot, excellent defense, but Drewy, that's a reason why he's in the top 7 of all time and made 3-pointers.
Who did he just go past, Derek Rucker?
Some bald-headed guy.
It wasn't me, so it must be you. Steindl off the rebound. Nice finish from the captain. These teams continue to trade buckets in the opening quarter.
And Drew, we're used to defenses really shining in the postseason, but in that Melbourne Illawarra series, offense was really the key. And already we're seeing the same thing as Golding is fouled by Steindl on the 3.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup for Steindl. He's got length, but he doesn't have that speed. And when you've got to come off those dribble handoffs, it's always going to be tough. There's Steindl, and he just gets caught behind, and there's the step back, tough step back. You've got to almost beat him to the spot and force him back door, and there he is, just a little too tight.
There are the all-time three-point makes in history, and Chris Golding goes past the great Derek Rucker. Next in the crosshairs is Leonard Copeland.
Congratulations, it's a tremendous, oh boy, it's a tremendous achievement for him to get there, Drew. We know how hard it is to play for this long, but also his free throw shooting continues to struggle.
Yeah, it's unusual because he's a very good free throw shooter. Has been throughout the course of his career, 76% this season. So that's really solid, but even that's a bit lower than what it should be. 81% or 82% rounded up across his career. So this year, just having a few more misses than he's normally accustomed to.
In the semi-final series, especially 58% from the line.
Yeah, and you know, they flirted with disaster a couple of times.
Numbers.
Come on, not fair.
No, it's a compliment.
McDonald
to Wazza, that is.
Off the handoff.
Nice offense again.
Still no Will Magnate for Tasmania now. Fabian Krislovic is checking in to play some big man minutes. And Luala Chul takes it straight at him.
This is high quality offense. You might talk about the defense being a little down D, or Derek, but this is really, really good offense.
This pass from McDonald, pick and pop. Krislovic, big knockdown. Scores it tied, Nerily Meadows.
Just keeping an eye on Chris Golding, who went from shooting those free throws straight to the bench and behind the scenes, and it looks like he's got an issue with his right hip, right glute. Just doing a bit of work there. He's walking back out in front of me now, but was with the medical staff and a little bit perturbed.
Keep a very close eye on that one. Steindl got open. Here Clark with the long rebound. A 2-point lead to Melbourne. A minute to play in the opening term. Travers downhill, blocked.
Sensational defensive play. I thought Travers had the angle and the body on. Whoa, look at that crossover, Drew.
The pull-up from Crawford.
He's got some issues to deal with in his head. He's had a couple of good looks. He just hasn't been able to knock him down. So he's got a post up. Look at the post up. Here, top of your screen, down low. They're going to have to send a double.
And they do. Good hands from Steindl. Travers last to touch it.
Well, Drew, they took too long to identify it and then activate. And they just let Steindl be too close to the mismatch, and he was able to get a hand on it.
When it takes that long, it's long enough for the defense to adjust as well.
Sean McDonald with the left hand puts Tasmania in front.
He's a danger in this series. He's got more size than Crawford, obviously, so he can get in there deep. One shot for United.
Apologies, he ties it up. Clark no good. Krebs was being held.
Now there's an appeal, Jack, for an unsportsmanlike Vaughn Mayberry and Michael Aylen.
But he grabs on, holds on from a bad position, and then pulls the jersey. I would like to review it. Do I see one?
Let's take a look here.
Replay center, we have a normal foul on the review foul.
Wow. Well, technically it might meet the criteria because he's pulled the jersey, but if that gets called an unsportsmanlike, that would be disappointing, Derek.
Well, I think we have a pretty good idea where it's headed, Drew. I agree with you, but it's just too egregious. You can't grab like that and hold on, as we just heard Michael Aylen say. So I have a good idea where this is headed. 2 shots side out of bounds, Melbourne United.
Yep, I think you're right.
Unsportsmanlike foul. Yellow 35. Hold. Suicide.
I guess to the absolute letter of the law,
Yeah,
it's there.
it is. It 100% is the correct call.
And the
But Derek,
unfortunate thing,
Derek, if you're the Grand Poobah of the Games Commission,
I don't even know why you asked this question. You already know the answer to it.
what, he should be disqualified from the game? And kicked
No, it's just take the ball out on the side. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The free throws for Tanner Krebs. He makes them both. John Casey.
I spoke to Vaughn Mayberry, the referee of the year pre-game, about the appointments of the referees, and he told me that these 3 referees here, Vaughn Mayberry, Michael Aylen, Mitch Hare, are being done on a game-by-game basis. So they will do this game, but there's no certainty to do the second game. And Nico Fernandez, who tore a calf in Perth in the semi-finals, who I'm told that injury will not preclude him from being involved.
Quarter time here at John Cain Arena. Tight, tense and tough. It's everything we expected. Melbourne leading Tasmania 26-24 at John Cain Arena. This is the Hungry Jacks NBL. Quarter time, game one of the championship series. 2 points separates Melbourne and Tasmania, 26-24. High quality opening term of basketball. Derek Rucker and Andrew Gates.
And right now, Drew, if you look at the difference in this game, it's from the three-point line. Melbourne United have made 4, and Chris Golding got 2 free throws off of a three-point attempt in which he was fouled. That's 14 points derived off of three-point shooting. That's too much.
Doyle from outside. Great start to the quarter for Tasmania. Nellie Meadows in front of the Melbourne bench.
Chris Golding really leading the way. He said, we know we can score, but defensively, 24 points is too many to concede in one quarter. We've got to help out more. It was a collaborative approach with Vickerman really allowing his leaders to do the talking, which he's done all postseason. Shea Ely, Delhi, Joe Lualachul, all talking throughout that quarter-time address. But when Vickerman did speak, the coach said he's loving the work on the boards, including the box outs. They lead the rebound count 12-9.
Juk Deng off the dribble, takes it at Kyle Bowen. Playing some handy minutes for them again.
Well, this is a great start by the JackJumpers. They don't look phased at all. They're not overawed by the circumstances with a packed John Cain arena.
But Drew, this is a perfect example of what you preach often. If you play systematic offensive basketball and pick and choose your times for individual brilliance, you can travel well.
Krislovic was flat on his back when Sean McDonald tried to find him. Going out there to start the second quarter. Here's Tanner Krebs. Leaves that 3 well short.
That looked tight.
And Krislovic seeing some extended minutes early in this as well with their smaller lineup that they go with. And right here, Crawford's the one they need to get going, and that will really do his confidence the world of good. He only shot it at 29% in that series against the Wildcats, 8 points a game as opposed to 16 throughout the course of the season, and had a few good looks already in this one, so he'd be relieved to see that one go down.
2 really down games against Perth. Great rebound by Tanner Krebs. 5 games to separate these two. It's going to be about more than just the stars. Guys like Tanner Krebs and Clint Steiner for Tasmania is so important.
And with those role players, especially with a Krebs, you can't allow him to get easy looks off of hustle plays, especially after you knock down, you limit them on the offensive end, and then he gets an easy layup off an offensive rebound. And we saw Crawford on that Harvey Norman replay get a good look at a 3 and see it go in, Drew.
Will Magnate back into the game, had 6 of Tasmania's first 8 points. Got an extended rest. He's going to be an offensive foul. And Will Magnate,
Technical foul.
very quick to tell Kyle Bowen all about it too.
And that's a bad move. That's 2 quick fouls.
It's a quick trigger on the tech, though, I thought.
Was it a taunt, Drew?
Well,
is it for standing over it?
Right there, it's arguable whether that should be a foul. He gets not there, and then he just goes down because he thought it was a little
That's not a foul. Or that's not a foul either.
Well, Bowen just comes across. You didn't see it on that angle. He comes right across. And I think I know that you want to be consistent what we play throughout the course of the season, but the emotions are high, and that's an expensive technical.
There should be some upgrade allowed in emotions and contact.
Yes.
Now that we're at the championship series, things get tougher, things get rougher.
And that's what that was. Bowen's there, and they didn't call that when a lot of the times this season they do call it. So,
and you know what? Yeah, the intent was to go over there and to taunt, but is it that offensive?
Well, I would have thought the officials saying, hey, pull your head in when you're not allowed to cop that one. And then you move on. If you do it again, now, technically, again, it's probably the way it's been officiated, but I don't feel overly comfortable with that decision, albeit it's a correct one.
Well, Magnay now has 2 fouls, and that puts Scott Roth in a position.
Here's another look at it again. So there's a foul in the first instance.
He's tagging the roller, which he's supposed to do, but he wasn't there. He got there late. So it's questionable whether that foul in the first place should have been on Magnay.
That's what I said initially. I didn't love it. Now let's really look at it. It's just 2 big guys meeting. Good old school contact. let it ride. And this right here should just be a Will, that's enough. No
Correct.
more of that.
Correct.
Emotions high early in game one, John Casey.
All the huddle here in Tasmania was just about, let's be smart about this, guys, and they certainly want to work harder on the boards. Out-rebounded in that first quarter, 12-9 by Melbourne. And again, as is Scott Roth's want as a coach, he allows a lot of player input in these timeout huddles, but his final message was, guys, no spectators. Everyone has to rebound. Everyone has to be involved.
And it's interesting, Drew, in the pregame, we talked about how this place is excitable at the moment. It's a jungle atmosphere. Tasmania have to survive and not allow this crowd to become a factor. Plays like that will get them into the game emotionally quickly.
JackJumpers by one. Goldie couldn't get his three ball away. Patience finds Hook Porty underneath. Melbourne back in front.
Passing in tight quarters. That was some fantastic ball movement in a very confined space with a lot of bodies to thread the needle through.
4 points for Ariel Hook Porty to go with 8 for Joe Lawala-Chul. So the Melbourne Bigs having a say on things. Milton Doyle jacks up an air ball. We saw Magnay with an air ball from the free throw line, and now Doyle, who across the season is a 32% three-point shooter, shooting an air ball of his own.
And initially I thought Golden got a piece of it. As Crawford be called for a foul. And
One goal. Baseline. Baseline.
Matthew Dellavedova.
Baseline.
Fabulous semi-final series against Illawarra, game one in particular. Took it upon himself to give Melbourne the early buffer. He was big in game three. Golding from the corner.
that's incredible.
That is outrageous. Really didn't have a lot of time to get his legs underneath him. Kept the ball high. And that's just touch. And he's knocked down his third for the contest.
McDonald no good at the other end. They've scored the last 6, Melbourne. Hook Porty runs the floor and almost stuffs the lid.
What a pass. We are seeing some exceptional basketball plays.
Jordan Crawford, 1 of 5 for the afternoon. So his troubles finding the bottom of the net continue. Likewise for Hook Porty, he's had 2 lobs in a row.
Well, that
should have gone down.
That action is there, obviously, and down here on this end, when they put McVeigh in the pick and roll, as he makes a nice move. When McVeigh's in the pick and roll, Drew, he's popping. He is open, but they're not finding him. They've got to make him a focal point on that action.
Magnay playing with a couple of fouls. Offensive rebound, Hook Porty.
Wow.
3 misses from underneath in 60 seconds.
Really good looks.
No foul for Crawford.
Scott Roth thought it was one. Pleading for it.
I think it's a good no call. Hook Porty straight up.
Out now. Out now.
Got mismatches, Drew.
Rotation's coming.
Melbourne lead by 4. Golding from the logo. Not a mile away either. He's got that look in the eye this afternoon. Has 11 points. And his hands full at the other end. Nice find as Magnay's foul.
Andrew, Tasmania have to get back to executing their offense. And Crawford has kind of led to that not happening by looking for his early in transition. He needs to stick to what they do well.
So it's a 4-point lead to Melbourne United. Pre-game, we're caught up with Matthew Dellavedova, one of the stars of Melbourne United.
Well, Delly, I remember us talking at the start of the season about the diet changes and the physical changes that you made, but they've clearly held you in good stead. Can you just run us through them again?
Yeah, I mean, it was feeling good in the preseason. I had a couple niggles during the year and feel like I've kind of worked myself back into the shape I want to be in, with a lot of help from the physios and strength and conditioning staff here. So a lot of steak, sunshine, oysters. Yeah.
Steak, sunshine and oysters. I feel like we can all get on board that.
Yeah.
You have this intensity about you, this playoff series and now into the championship series. Can you try and take us into your mindset of what it's like to be you in those moments?
I mean, I've always been competitive and want to win, whether it's a board game at home or playing a game here. So just trying to win.
Steak, sunshine, and oysters. That's kind of the story of your life, isn't it, Derek Rucker? Isn't that how you live 7 days a week?
Sounds very nice. And Deli's got the recipe. And Andrew, I think we would both be shocked if someone told us coming into this season that he'd be performing at this level.
Well, I think he's performed to a level that would have got the attention of Brian Gorgon and the Boomers with what they've got to face. That tenacious defense, the ability to pass the ball. You know, shooting's always going to be a bit of a lottery with him, but
Lottery's extreme.
it's, well, it is. The numbers don't lie.
Doyle off the inbound. Nice set from Tasmania. Out of the timeout. Nez, you've got your eyes on Ariel Hook-Porty at the moment.
He didn't have his best 60 seconds, let's be honest. 3 close-range misses. Dean Vickerman, you could hear him on the microphone in the offense saying, get out of the way, clear out to make space for Dellavedova and Golding. He was then benched during that timeout. JLA, great leadership from him. He went straight up to the young man in Hook-Porty and just put his hands on his shoulders and gave him a little bit of consoling, basically. A lot of his teammates did the same. During that timeout, Vickerman then said, we had great looks, it's okay. The teammates continue to tap him on the shoulder. Hook-Porty right in front of me just now, walked behind the scenes, fisted, hit the door in anger, spent a couple of moments on his own, back on the bench, hoping to come out better.
4 points to go with his 5 rebounds. The next start. Jack McVeigh floats into the lane. He's been doing that all season long.
And Tasmania going with a really mobile playmaking lineup with Crawford, Doyle, McDonald, and McVeigh out there on the floor. This is a tough matchup and a key time for Melbourne United.
Clark thought he was fouled, but played through and banks it off the window for 2 more. His record in playoff games in the NBL is incredible. 7-1, Ian Clark, which takes in that championship with Sydney. Illy on the move. Travers checks the feet. Foul on the JackJumpers.
They are really deep on the on-ball screens. And when they miss, Melbourne United will test a small push in the back with the ball. They will test the defensive transition of the JackJumpers. They've been, I think, one of the best at it, although they're not necessarily playing with the greatest pace, as in how often they shoot it. They play it with pace from north to south as good as anyone, as Matty Dellavedova knocks down another 3 ball. 2 of 2 now.
And a steal by Luala-Chul. Look out!
They're the mistakes you can't afford to make. The ones that become indefensible and just a little lazy. As we have a look at the Harvey Norman of Matthew Dellavedova. Step back, 3 ball, nothing but net. And here's Milton Doyle just not reading the defense, only seeing the offense. And Luala-Chul Jr. picks it off.
And one of the strengths of JLA is often he thinks like a guard. Even though he's a big, he has those instincts like that to make plays and get out in the lane. Another one of the attributes he possesses that makes Melbourne such a tough team to play against.
10 points. And has made a good start to this game, Joe Luala-Chul. 5 of 5 from the field. Averaged 13.5 points in the series against Illawarra across the season. All NBL second team, top 5 in the competition for rebounds and blocks. He's wasn't part of the team initially, but has been such a major inclusion for Melbourne to get back.
Well, he's such a difference maker, and when he's going like this today, you know, as you said, he's 5 of 5 with 10 points. And right now, Andrew, he's stymied the JackJumpers front line. And not only has he stymied them, Melbourne United in this second quarter holds Tassie only to 12 points.
Yeah. No, it's you'll go through patches against Melbourne United, but their defense is really consistent. And you're going to have to maintain a level of excellence on the offensive end, particularly with your shooting, to be able to break through the defense that Melbourne United is going to throw at you.
A timeout called by Tasmania. John Casey was listening in.
Yeah, I've been with the JackJumpers in their huddle throughout the semi-final series and again today, and that was the first hint of frustration that I saw from the playing group. A couple of errors clicked into the game. They had 0 turnovers in the first quarter. They're up to 3 here in the second. Let's get to Nerily.
In Melbourne United's huddle as JLA puts down a massive dunk, back-to-back huge dunks by the big man, and the bench loves every single moment of it. But once again, the team are loving it. Keep the foot on the gas, keep rebounding. Dean Vickerman said, good job, fast-paced, and every now and again explode, just like JLA just did.
9-point lead for Melbourne. Here's the feeling from inside both camps. Ellie Meadows and John Casey courtside. Last touch, Marcus Lee, and United having a good couple of minutes here.
They are, and this defense has really lifted, something we didn't see enough of in that series against Illawarra, but obviously, as they play more, Andrew, they're finding their defensive rhythm.
17-4 run for Melbourne. Big move in the second quarter. There's still a long way to go in the game, and Lualachul draws bonus free throws for Melbourne with 2:28 remaining in the half.
Well, and it's 11-0 in fast break points. So Melbourne United, they are getting out and flying it down the floor. Now, that figure is always going to be in their favour with the style of play and the way they go about it. But that's a little extreme. You still want to be able to find a way to get some cheap baskets. And in transition, that can help, provided you're testing them every single possession.
Well, I like the fact that they realize JLA has it going on and is feeling good despite that miss. And they actually ran a play and a set to get it to him on the block. Good awareness by his teammates, and a sign that Melbourne United is locked into what's necessary to win this game.
He's the game's leading scorer. Has 13 points to go with 3 rebounds. He said when he returned to the NBL, he was coming back to win a championship. He's made a good start to the series. Here's Travis.
Crawford hasn't had a good one so far in this first half. It looks like he's pressing a little too much, like you were mentioning, and turned it over.
Turnovers, which haven't been a feature of Tasmania all season long, have been a big problem for them in this second quarter. Tough 3 for Drimmick. Important 3 for Anthony Drimmick. Timeout, Melbourne.
And Dean Vickerman does not want to give Tasmania any opportunity to develop any type of rhythm offensively, as we saw Travers get that deflection and go and put his head on the rim.
Anthony Drimmick with the 3, and just as we were watching the replay of that, Scott Ross made a point to head over to Mitch Hare. There he is. Not happy with some of the things that he's seen.
Ooh. Feels like it's perhaps not going his way, but there's a lot of self-inflicted wounds here for the JackJumpers. Now, their turnover count is not terrible with only the 4, but sometimes with some of their shot selection, it's almost as like a turnover because of the way in which they're able to own the boards, and rebounding is becoming a huge issue. 15 to 23. It's a large discrepancy we have, and that's igniting a lot of those fast break points that Melbourne United are getting.
Well, Marcus Lee needs to be a big part of that rebounding situation for Tasmania, and we caught up with him pre-game.
Marcus, playing against the team that gave you your start here in the NBL, how does that sit with you?
I'm internally always grateful with Melbourne United and them bringing me out here to Aussie. Absolutely love every guy over there. Still very close with when it comes to staff and players. But definitely excited to be back here with a new team with some of my favorite guys I've ever played with. So definitely excited for this moment.
How were your emotions going into Game 2, knowing that if Perth had won, that it was season over in your absence?
It was big emotions for me. It was honestly a hard day leading to the game, but I trusted my team with all my heart. They've put all the work in throughout the season, and I knew that they would be able to get the job done.
He very nearly didn't make it to the championship series, Marcus Lee. As Case mentioned, a 1-game suspension meant that he missed Game 2. Very popular teammate at Melbourne, and has been just the same at Tasmania as Crawford goes down.
And Marcus Lee, one of the true gentlemen of the game. And right now, if he gets back in there, probably in the second half now, Andrew, he really needs to have an impact. With Magnay obviously going to sit out with those 2 fouls. They haven't gotten much from these 2 guys in this first half.
To me, you do notice it when Magnay's not out here, and that hasn't been the case for a lot of the season. It's been seamless, but Magnay's been influential in that semi-final series.
Travers almost knocked it away from McVeigh. That's an air ball as well. Uncharacteristic from Jack McVeigh, who's normally so composed.
Well, see, right there, that should have been a technical foul based on what Will Magnay did before. Ian Clark just went up to Drimmick and pointed at him and spoke. If you're going to be consistent, that should be a tee. But instead, they're getting the warning, which Will Magnay should have got.
They come together. I don't think there's a lot in it. I think Ian's off balance.
There's a bit of an explanation from Michael Aylen. How did you see it, Case?
Go unnoticed on the Tasmania JackJumpers bench, I can tell you. Jared Weeks was up pointing to making the T signal. They thought if you're going to be consistent, it should have been a T.
Nearly lost the handle. And Tasmania with a bonus possession. Last minute of this opening half. Crawford on the move. High arcing jumper. Just doesn't rattle. McVeigh blocked. Travers got 2 hands on it. Clark stepping back. Big time.
So smooth with it, Drewy. Found his space against the closeout. Sidestep, knocked down the 3. Big change in play.
Double figure lead again, but that is nice from Milton Doyle.
That meat faking. That was a beautiful ball fake by Doyle that allowed him to go up against the taller Joe Luala-Chulin. Made that look real easy.
He's got 9 points now, Milton Doyle, just accumulating. 24 in game 3 against the Wildcats. Took that game over in the 3rd quarter. Shot clock down to 3 for Luala-Chul. Blocked. Chris Levick over the back.
So Tasmania will want...
Checking the clock. Checking the clock.
There you go. Check the clock to see what the difference in the time and the shot clock is. And they're hoping, Drew, it can get up to above 1. 1.6, we've been told.
Well, it's going to be a full court pass, and you can... Got plenty of time for a catch and shoot. Anything before that's going to be a Hail Mary.
Milton Doyle to play the role of quarterback. Lee couldn't get the shot away in time. Good quarter from Melbourne United. 2 points separated them at quarter time. Melbourne expand that lead to 10 at the main break, 51-41.
Yeah, they wore them down. Melbourne United's defense cranked it up. Their ownership of the boards and the way in which they got out in transition. Joe Luala-Chul beating the teams, his opponent down the floor, picking up some cheap ones. They need to get on top of that.
Let's get over to Nerily Meadows.
I've got Chris Golding alongside me. Chris, I noticed you were super fired up in that last time out. How have you seen this game so far?
Oh, we just, we finally got a little bit of a break, so we've got to make sure we don't have any lapses, no turnovers to fuel their stuff. Don't give up on any offensive rebounds.
I noticed you ran all the way to the other side of the court to say well done to Joe Luala-Chul. What did you make of his work in the first half?
Yeah, great. He's playing through some stuff, so he's doing a great job mentally in that, getting out and running and putting pressure on the rim.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
John Casey.
Thanks very much, Neil. I've got Jack McVeigh with me at the moment. Jack, good spread of scorers here. You've got 10 on the score sheet. It's okay at the offensive end at the moment.
Yeah, it's the defensive end, 100%. They're dictating, they're getting the shots they want. That puts them in the position to defensively build a wall, and we've got to be better on the defensive end.
2 fouls on Big Will, that's a problem. How do you turn it around in the second half?
He'll be good to go. We just got to play more jack jumper basketball. We're looking a little slow, a little sloppy, push the tempo, and have some fun.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, mate.
Half-time at John Cain Arena. Game 1 in the championship series. It's Melbourne who lead 51-41. Stick around. We've got the half-time show up next.
Welcome to the Hungry Jacks halftime show, and if you want to win a championship, you got to get off to a hot start. And this man, who we spoke about pre-game, Joe Luala-Tool, is going to be key to Melbourne United securing it. It was neck and neck halfway through that second quarter, but a 12-0 run from Melbourne United has blown this one open to a 10-point lead at the main break for Melbourne United, but certainly not disaster signs right now for the JackJumpers.
No, it's not, and the efficiency at which Melbourne United is scoring at would be a concern for the JackJumpers. 47-48% from the field, 50%, 7 of 14 from the three-point line. They need to take something away, and when they're picking up those cheaper baskets in transition, it puts a lot of pressure on your defense, and quite a few of those three have also come in the D-Tran. So trying to figure out how they control that. You can do a bit of that from your offense, but sometimes it's just got to dig deep and get back.
Well, 6 of 7 from the field. Tazzy, if you've got Magnay, Melbourne said we have JLA. Derek Rucker, he's been on fire to start.
He has, and Tasmania let him feel comfortable early. He was able to get rim attacks. He even made a couple of nice passes inside. But when you let him get dunks, then it starts to open up other parts of his game. He got out in the lane and finished there. That was part of that run that Melbourne United went on. And right now, Andrew, with Magnay and Lee not being able to provide any defensive resistance, Tasmania have a big JLA problem as we look at the Blackmore shot chart. All the green is at the cup, Felix.
Oh, well, as expected with JLA down the middle. Now, Andrew, if you are Tasmania, what do you have to do at halftime? What adjustments do you have to make to slow him down in the second?
Well, I think Jack McVeigh hit the nail on the head as far as controlling the tempo. You saw in those clips, a lot of those in the early part of the offense, the first 6 to 12 seconds, you've got to try and stop that by how you can control the tempo. In that first quarter, their execution was as good as you want to see, the way they got the ball from side to side. But when you miss, know that he's putting the jets on and getting down the floor. And it may not just be the matchup. Well, I know where this is going to go. He's going to shoot it.
Again, too?
But it's not just about the bigs having to guard JLA. In transition, someone's got to get in front of him.
But, Drew, a lot of that came from poor Tasmanian offense. In the first quarter, they executed brilliantly. But in the second quarter, I thought Crawford, trying to get his way into the game, trying to have an impact, just didn't get it going and had a lot of turnovers and rush shots.
Well, JLA on the side of United. Milton Doyle, as expected, carrying the torch for the JackJumpers. He's going to be needed big in the second half to drag him back from this 10-point deficit.
Well, he's been in good form. He was outstanding against Perth, and he had a good first half there. I think Tasmania's got to get back to running their offense with the patience we saw in the first half, and they've also not only get Doyle going, but McVeigh's got to get proactive on the offensive end.
Yeah, 4 of 7. He's been efficient to the point where they need to try and find a way to get him a few more looks, because he's looked really comfortable and has been a problem for Melbourne United.
Well, the way that this final series, the semi-final series, the overtime games we've seen, I get the feeling that Scott Roth is going to light a fire under the JackJumpers in there, and we'll see this one tighten up. The second half, Melbourne, Tassie coming up next.
The thing I've been most impressed with this year that I think is translatable to any level is just work ethic and resilience. On like a real level with Ariel, that dude deserves an immense amount of credit. So for him to bounce back in the way that he did, that is just the biggest, most important like tip that I think you can make for somebody. In terms of the game, look, it's a simple game. Like, he has real NBA size, he has real NBA length, runs the court, plays incredibly hard, but he blocks shots. He's a physical defensive force on the interior. He's willing to throw his weight around. You can get away with a lot as long as you have that and you have real NBA size and you have real NBA athleticism.
Welcome back to John Cain Arena, Melbourne by 10 in a game that's had 14 lead changes so far. That was Sam Vecini talking about Ariel Hook-Porty. He's also very big on Jack McVeigh and says he can see an NBA future for Jack McVeigh. Jack McVeigh also looking at the Paris Olympics, which are coming up quickly. And Boomers coach Brian Goorjian has already said he's watching this grand final series, looking for someone to step up and maybe force their way into the final 12 for Paris. And Sam Vecini thinks Jack McVeigh has a lot to offer. He's coming off a season high 27 in the deciding game 3 against Perth. Can do it all. So big things ahead for Jack McVeigh as we send it over to Nerily Meadows for some more reaction.
Melbourne United assistant Jacob Chance alongside me. Jacob, you're dominating on the boards at the moment, 26-17, but what impressed you most in the first half?
Well, the glass was massive. Our physicality is really good. You give Tassie extra possessions, they're a handful, so it's a big focus again in the second half.
What was the main message from Vickerman?
Stay solid, stay really solid. These teams, they try to grind each other down. It's going to be who lasts the longest, and it's going to be a hell of a second half.
And Chris Goulding is +/+12 in this game. He's been huge so far.
No, he's been massive. You know, great players step up this time of year, and hoping for more of the same in the second half.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Just about ready to go for the third quarter. Here's Chris Goulding. Made a big statement in the first half. 11 points, 3 of 4 from outside Derek Rucker.
Well, he's feeling really good about himself. And when you get 11 points off of only 4 field goal attempts, not only does that increase your own self-esteem, but it adds value to your team on the offensive end, allows other guys to get touches and increase their usage and feel their way into the game and build their own confidence.
Drew, talk to us about the pace. Melbourne pushing the ball at every opportunity. Yeah. How much has it thrown Tasmania off?
Well, it's no surprise. They've done it right throughout the course of the season, and they look really good at it against Illawarra. It's just how you stop it. It's the other thing when you've got so much talent out there, and making a few baskets would help, and trying to stop Chris Goulding when he's in this frame of mind, that's got to be at the forefront of what the JackJumpers have got to do on the defensive end.
What about that for an opening possession? Doyle backdoor, Dellavedova got a hand on it. What's important first 2 minutes of this third quarter, Ruck, if you're Tasmania?
Well, if I'm Scott Roth, I've got the microscope on Jordan Crawford, Andrew.
Yeah, 1 of 9, well, excuse me, 1 of 8 in that first half.
You can live with some of the misses, but I need better floor direction, run the offense, get us into our stuff, distribute the basketball.
Doyle guarded by Travers, drives, and off the glass scores. Milton Doyle has 11.
High quality finish over the shot blocker.
Not easy to score in the paint against Melbourne. They have 2 of the leading 3 shot blockers in the competition. In Lawala Chul Jr. and Hook-Porty.
Hold first on the rebound, 22.
Wow.
A foul on Magnay, and that will be his third.
Wow. It's expensive. Shea Ili is an interesting one as well. He's 0-3 from the field, coming off at 22 points against Illawarra, and there's the hold on Joe Lawala-Chul. And
was this a mutual locking up?
Well, maybe there was another angle, but it looked like Lawala-Chul Jr. had a bit of a hold as well.
Matthew Dellavedova, well, I think the reaction tells the story there. He wants a review.
Ball, please. Ball. Stop. He's still signaling. Ball's still signaling.
Let's have a look here. The call was for a hit on the face.
Yeah, he did. Raised his face, I think.
Hit him in the face.
It's a glancing blow, but he was there.
Dean Vickerman decides not to pull the trigger on the coach's challenge. Magnay rolls to the basket.
Ooh.
He's fouled by Lawala-Chul.
You know what this one is, Jack? The late whistle. And I thought it was a pretty good contest.
Well, this is the sort of contact they've been allowing for a lot of the game. And this time, call it. That's where perhaps moving forward ever so slightly. Let's see if they call a push or a hand.
In big moments like this, a game one, everybody's trying to work their way into it. The referees are trying to figure out what the tempo looks like, what levels of contact are acceptable. Now, right now, we're getting a few mixed signals, Jack. But the players have to deal with it and play through and be sharper.
So how hard is that, Ruck, when you're a player and you can't quite get a read on how the game's being officiated?
It is tough, but you just got to stick to your fundamentals and play sound basketball and knock down shots, Drewy.
Golding to the rack this time, has 16 and is the game's leading scorer. Crawford has his pass intercepted. Travers for Illy. He can't score. Tasmania, the habits of the second quarter, coming back early stages of the third. Double-digit margin. Magnate bangs in on Luala Chul. That time, Melbourne not happy once more.
Thomas with the hand. And Joe Luala-Chul, they're conceding Will Magnay from the front. Look how deep he is. So he gets a running start at him. And that's his third foul. And the arms did drop.
Yes. They broke vertical right
See how
there.
It comes down, that left arm comes down.
That's more of a foul than the last one.
Absolutely.
Now this is a developing story. Will Magnay is 1 of 5 for the afternoon from the charity stripe, and all 5 attempts have looked very different,
including an air ball with the first one. One looked nice.
And Drewy, both coaches are staring each other in the face with their bigs on 3 fouls, seeing who will blink.
11-point lead for Melbourne United. Game 1 of the championship series.
That's a foul.
That is a foul. They left Will Magnay out there, and he picks up his 4th.
It's the reach in. Didn't need to do it. Just got to have your hands up early to make sure you don't pick up one like this where it's inadvertent. It's not a lot in it, but it's there.
And it's interesting, Drew, that he's come with Krislovich instead of Lee, feeling that's a better matchup. I'm more inclined to go with that big in Marcus Lee.
And for Will Magnay, for Tassie fans who would have watched all 3 games of the semi-final series and understood his importance, Will Magnay was plus 11.5 in that semi-series against Perth. Plus 9 for the season. And he won't be out there, you would imagine, for all of this third quarter. Long way to go, but JackJumpers are going to have to do this the hard way. Crawford knocks that down, but it won't count.
To me, this is Sean McDonald time because Crawford's just having one of those games. It's a poor one. He's 1 of 8. He's got 3 turnovers, 1 assist, and got some challenges on the defensive end. You have those games. No matter how good you are, he's a quality player, just having one of those games.
Yeah, but he's starting to stack them, unfortunately, for Tasmania. And they've got to also figure out a way to get McVeigh involved on the offensive end.
Illy must shoot. Shot clock.
They reset it.
That's a bad break for Tasmania.
Shot clock should have been down to 1. Instead, the scorer's table reset the shot clock.
They got you, mate. Thank you very much. We're just going to review the shot.
Replay Centre will just take a look at the timing of it all. 57:45. This is a really big couple of minutes in the context of this game.
It is, and from Tasmania's offensive point of view, Andrew, you've got to attack JLA. You can't give him a free ride while he's out there on 3 fouls.
Well, I think that's why they bring in Christopher, because he can go off the bounce a little bit more than Will Magnay and test Joe Luala-Chul in that area. But they've come out, both teams have come out playing at a high level of intensity. We've been playing 3 minutes. We've already had 5 fouls called, so it might be a little tightening up on the way the game's officiated as well.
Eddie Betts, one of our finals ambassadors, sitting in the crowd, superstar of the Adelaide Crows, Carlton in the AFL competition, now enjoying Sunday afternoon hoops. Pete Hellier's in the crowd, Tommy Little. Dave Hughes was sitting amongst that lot a little earlier as well. John Casey courtside.
To ride off Tassie just yet, even though they're down 12 momentum with Melbourne. Let's remember that when these teams played here back in October in round 2, Tassie were down 13 with 8 minutes to play, outscored Melbourne 20-3 to win it by 5. They're not done with just yet.
Well, they only know one way, Tasmania, and that is to fight. It's going to take everything that they've got. As we said, still a long way to go, but Melbourne have done a lot right in this game.
Oh.
McVeigh at the top of the key. Back to Crawford. Shot clock now at 10. Drimmick with a floater. That's tough from Anthony Drimmick, who has 9 of his own.
A low percentage shot that goes their way.
Yeah,
you usually don't work that hard for that type of shot, but they get the dividend.
And Dean Brinkman, he lives with that. He said, good D, that's just good offense, beating some pretty decent D.
It's 16 when the two teams played in round 16 in Tasmania, but that is an enormous problem for the JackJumpers. Deadly.
He's got the flamethrower out. You can't give him any space right now. 5 of 6 from the 3, 19 points.
13-point lead.
That's another reason why to have McDonald out there. We saw the work that he was doing on Bryce Cotton. He can chase and get over screens and contest.
Anthony Drimmick with a contested treble of his own. 10-point game, John Casey.
Chris Golding is unbelievable. He's played in 13 grand final games. He's had multiple threes in 12 of them. And that makes 5 today, takes his tally for the year to 124 threes. It's the most he's ever hit in a single season in his 17 years. And it's now 62 consecutive games. The last time he missed was actually against Tassie 2 seasons ago.
Drimmick's keeping in the game offensively. They needed to find a spark, and it's come from Drimmick. He's up to 15 now, 5 of 6. And when they've needed it the most.
3 seconds!
By any means necessary at the moment, Tasmania, but this end of the floor, they just can't stop Melbourne.
JLA continuing to have his way. And right now, the Melbourne United superstars in JLA and Golding are absolutely dissecting Tasmania.
Magnay off the floor with 4 fouls. Scott Ross continuing with Fabian Krislovic. It's Crawford on the move. Second field goal of the afternoon.
He's back, Drew.
Just like that.
Just picked up a foul down the other end. Part of the problem. Here we see that. That's good D. Good contest. And the running hook.
Here we go.
Down the other end. Step up and splashes the 3-ball.
Mass changes for Melbourne United. Krebs, Clark, and Aporti come in. And this lineup, when they make these changes, they've had varied success in the postseason thus far. Sometimes they've been able to build on the lead, and sometimes we've seen them squander it. McDonald is also, per your wishes, back in the game for Crawford.
Saw all of that on the Harvey Norman replay. Anthony Drimmick has 15 points. Game, a season high of 16, as we mentioned, came in round 16 against Melbourne. As Illy leaves both on the line. Melbourne 58% from that spot. They are 69% across the season. It has been a problem. McVeigh blocked. Luke Travers got a healthy piece of it.
Uh-oh.
Marcus Lee's gone down, grabbing the shoulder. Now, we saw him in that Perth series early on have an issue with his shoulder.
Which ended up being more nerve-related. Let's take a look here. 22 seconds into the first game of the series. Marcus Lee looked as though his season was done with what, in fact, the last game of the season, I should say, with what looked to be a dislocated shoulder.
Well, they're in a tough situation right now, Andrew. He's got to play through it. Krislovich didn't prove to be effective in his couple of minutes on, so Lee's got to give him at least 5 minutes here.
He's trying to shake it off, but that arm is just hanging in the air right now. Travers misses out from underneath. Offensive rebound and puts it back in.
He's quietly had a really good game. He's done a fantastic job on the defensive end in locking up McVeigh.
7 points now for Luke Travers. Doyle off the front. O-board for Lee. Here's Doyle who relocates. Had to go and does.
They just lost him on the kick-out pass on the O-boards. And O-boards is hurting the Jack Jumpers. Got 9. Melbourne United.
Shea Ely fouled. As he falls to the floor, he scores.
Broken play. Tasmania can't allow that type of bucket. It's just too easy and careless on the defensive end, Andrew, as Illy gets deep.
Well, that's not a foul. He just tripped. He stumbled. There's no foul there, Derek. He trips and stumbles himself, and they call a foul. They can understand there's a lot of bodies close by, and they just assume that Illy got tripped, but I don't think he did.
Offensive player of the year, Shea Ely. It's a little bit of punch at the offensive end too. Pushes the lead back to 11. As he checks out Dellavedova, Krebs, Hook, Porty, Clark and Travers on the floor for Melbourne. Drimmick, McVeigh, McDonald, Lee and Doyle. Out there for the Jack Jumpers. McVeigh glides to the basket and gets an easy layup.
Tasmania's offense looking much better in this quarter. Already they've put 19 points on the board. They only scored 17 in quarter 2. Now they just got to find some stops.
McVeigh only has 7 for the game. Quiet by his lofty standards. Averages 16.5 across the season.
Now, Drew, as we get basketball nerdy right here, for years it was believed that the hard show was an outdated concept, but we have seen teams reintroduce it this season and last season very effectively.
Well, most have it as an option that they'll go to quite regularly. The Jack Jumpers in particular, they hard show on most on-ball screens.
Well, there's Lee right there, go switch. He wanted to go hard show, but then realized he needed to go ahead and switch because of the shot clock.
Yeah, it's usually it. There'll be a time frame probably around the 6-second mark that teams will switch every on-ball screen. But prior to that, we've seen the Jack Jumpers hard showing on most, and they do as good a job as any with their rotations on the weak side to help on the divers.
This take from Sean McDonald makes it a 7-point game.
The competitive energy is back with the Jack Jumpers now.
Well, it's because there's some scoreboard pressure. They've cut it back to 7.
It's the closest it's been since the score was 43-36. Not that time for Golding. Second look for Melbourne off the Bowen offensive rebound. Dellavedova with his feet set.
Poor defense allowing Chris Golding to be that wide open. Then you give up an O-board, which leads to a kick out to Delhi, and he punishes him.
9 points for Delhi.
Oh.
McVeigh is fouled.
Crafty. It looked like he was going to make the drop-off pass, and it looked a little awkward, but just the timing of it all. And they're one of the easier ones you get. It's so hard after an O-board. Quite often you'll have players out of position and just not able to scramble, and there's that almost in slow mo, those steps that he was
reminded me of someone.
But they need to get him going. Find a way to get McVeigh going.
Misses the first in there. All these points matter.
22 in that series against Perth. Only got to 7 so far here tonight, but he did it 53% from the three-point line. They've taken that away from him. He's not one that's going to come down and force three-point field goal attempts. He'll take what's given. But they haven't given him anything. He's only had 1 three-point field goal attempt.
57-57-91 was his shooting clip from the playoff series so far. He comes out of the game, as does Milton Doyle. So an interesting lineup on the floor here for Tasmania, Ruck.
Well, I liked what I thought they were going to do initially, but I guess they want to probably get into some on-ball stuff with Crawford.
72-63 at John Cain Arena, game 1 of the championship series. Turnover for Melbourne. Hard closeout on Steindl. Great D from Clark. Forces a tough look for the JackJumpers captain.
Up, guys, up, unlock.
Lawalachul Jr. has 17. Goes to work. Couldn't score first time around and then travels.
Well, this is when you know JLA is feeling good about himself. He put that thing on the deck and tried to ram it on the whole crew.
10th turnover of the game, Melbourne. Sean McDonald. Got away from Dellavedova. Blocked by Lawalachul. Gobbles that one up with his first swat of the night.
She shut all of their options down. Shots that they were getting it relatively easily in the other series against the Perth Wildcats. Now becoming a lot tougher in this one.
Well, we spoke about the difficulty in handicapping teams coming out of series. And right now it's evident that the Melbourne United Illawarra series was a tougher brand of basketball, Drew. High offense.
Well,
and the intensity defensively wasn't bad in that series. It was just really good offensive execution and skill.
Seen again here, Melbourne United, they've been ruthless the way they've gone about it. That's a tough shot.
McDonald
as is that.
Puts it out of the hands of Lawalachul and then is whistled for a foul.
They'll walk the other end and shoot a couple of free throws.
Now the guards got to be better with the ball, the Tasmanian guards, Drew. When they get in the paint, looking for their options, it's really hard to finish some of these shots that they're attempting over JLA and Haporti. Likewise, shooters must spread the floor and provide passing angles.
Game clock will be 18.8.
Melbourne, when they allow less than 90 points a game, Ruck, have won their last 14 games in a row.
Well, they're trending that way. And even though the JackJumpers have been better in this quarter, offensively, they just haven't been able to consistently, Andrew, mount a scoring run. And without that, the aforementioned Husey, without any type of significant run, it's going to be very hard to break in to this lead, which now stands at 10.
They take Joe Lawalachul out, Junior out, because he's got the 3 fouls. And his last defensive possession, they bring in Haporti.
The two teams played in round 5 in Tasmania. It was the JackJumpers who outscored Melbourne 25-17 in the 4th quarter. Now they're going to need a similar run to that to win game 1. McDonald left that short. Plenty of time for Clark. Got it! John Cain Arena explodes as Ian Clark nails a 3/4 time dagger.
Never looked like missing. We're right in line with it. And nothing but the bottom of the net from one of the true elite shooters in the NBL.
We know what he's capable of, Andrew. We saw it with the Sydney Kings in their championship run. And IC delivers a dagger at the end of the 3rd. Melbourne United up by 13.
76-63, 4th quarter of game 1 coming up next.
Average, it is Melbourne United up by 13 points at three-quarter time in game one. It wouldn't be a championship series without getting the thoughts of the great Corey Homicide Williams. What about that moment from Ian Clark right on three-quarter time?
I mean, all their stars have come out to play. You know, last series was a dogfight, and a lot of those stars could not get off. That is not the case in game one of this championship series. Melbourne United are having their way with the Tasmania JackJumpers.
I know you love a rivalry. What did you make of Dean Vickerman's Little Island comments?
I couldn't believe how he disrespected the state of good old Tasmania. I couldn't believe it. Little Island, he's defending and he's saying X, Y, and Z. I was shocked because Dean Vickerman is not a talker. So, I mean, he took a page out of my book.
Gosh, we miss you. You've got your daughter, Gabby, over here as well, little Gabrielle. How are you doing at the moment, Corey?
We're doing good. Gabby, this is her first game. You know, Philly's been to games before, but it's just, we've never seen her this quiet for this long. So we're bringing her back.
Like father, like daughter, dare I say. Corey, you know how we finish this. I appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate you too. You already know.
I love that man. We love that man. And it's great to have him in the house this afternoon. Corey Homicide Williams, 78-63. Illy can't add three more to that. What needs to change from a Tasmania point of view?
Well, Andrew, they've got to be better with their decision-making and the ability to finish coming off the on-ball. And when they get in the paint, they keep trying to force up shots that are too difficult. And there are better options. They've just got to find them and be patient and smart with the penetration.
They certainly do. And Dean Beckerman blocking a fine line.
And then gave it the...
Oh,
very, very fine line.
I think it starts with the defense, though. They know that score and certainly getting Jordan Crawford going, because when you're playing catch-up, clearly, you need to be able to put the ball in the hole, but getting stops is critical. That's too easy. They extend the defense, and the Jackies have done that a lot throughout the course of the season. They get up and in, but clearly Melbourne United are prepared for the extended defense and have broken it down a few times.
Right there on that catch, I know Jack McVay's trying to stay within the system, but he's got to get eyes up on the bucket, Drew, on that catch.
8 points for Jack McVay, 7 for Crawford. And it's hurting him at that end. At this end, Oriel Hukporti with authority.
And the end one. Beautiful pass. Matthew Dellavedova does this as good as anyone we've ever seen in the NBL. Find people at the rim. Now, of course, we see the Harvey Norman replay. It's easier when you've got the big fella that can get upstairs and throw it down with a high degree of authority. But this takes timing, coordination between the receiver and the passer, and a powerful finish and a big statement.
And it also requires a cohesion amongst two guys. And Jack, that word right there, cohesion, is what we're starting to see throughout this whole lineup. They are popping and humming at a level that we expected last month and in that series we just saw.
JackJumpers have had no answer since quarter time. Krislovic from outside. Oh, Bowen drags in his 7th rebound. He's plus 12 in his time on the floor this afternoon. The Western Australian playing in his first championship series. Here's Golding. You know what happens next.
He's seeing it like a hula hoop, and the timing and rhythm in his shot looks beautiful to watch.
But Andrew, you said that you felt Melbourne United had been hardened in that playoff series they just went through, and we're seeing the product of that. They've come out sharper, they've come out more intense, and their focus is at a level Tasmania can't hit.
86-65, 7:42 to play. Wow.
Well, we're seeing all facets of Melbourne United's power. The depth, the shooting, Drew. They're at 52% from the three. They're shooting it at 50% from the field. Their stars have come to play. Delhi's got 9 points. 6 assists, only 1 turnover. Ian Clark, 13 off the bench. Goulding and Achul Jr. have combined for 40.
Yeah, they've smothered. Outside of that first quarter, it's been a domination by Melbourne United at both ends of the floor. They've been ruthlessly efficient. When you've got Chris Goulding going off like he is, where he's 6 of 9 from the three-point line for the 22.7-11 overall. It really does put a lot of pressure on your defense. It spreads it out and it allows the penetration, and whether it's the alley-oop or the three ball, they get it done.
86-65 at John Cain Arena. That three is as pure as driven snow.
There's rhythm and melody all through that stroke.
9-2 start to the quarter for Melbourne. They're all over Tasmania. That's nice from Jack McVeigh. They need more of it.
Well, they do, and this is a marathon, best of 5, so it's going to take a record comeback for a grand final, I suggest, to then get out of this one, but it's about trying to find little wins.
Bowen for 3.
Should have passed it, had Ian Clark with the next pass.
Dellavedova forces his way in, grabs his own rebound and scores.
And an awkward landing has him smarting. We've seen him do a great job in this postseason in the paint, putting up that little flip shot. And Drew, you talk about a guy who dedicated himself to improving his physique in the offseason.
Strong. He's gone straight back under to the change rooms by the look to get looked at. Not sure what it was where he got hurt. Again, the rim protection has been sublime for Melbourne United. This time it's Hook 40.
Number 2 shot blocker in the competition across the regular season, Ariel Hook-Porty. The 21-year-old German next starts, played some big minutes this afternoon, and that time he's whistled for a foul.
And they completely dominated the boards. There was a bit of a comeback in that third period, but 42-27 is the rebound count. That's too much of a discrepancy.
And Tasmania will want to get Will Magnay feeling the basketball. He's only played 10 minutes in this game, Andrew, due to foul trouble. And as you say, this is a process. It's a 5-game series potentially. And while we're playing in game 1, you got to have a sneaky eye at game 2 also. And understand, Melbourne United need this game. The pressure is on them to come out and perform well and get this game. They've held serve here pretty much today unless we see a fantastic comeback as Tasmania extend the pressure.
20-point deficit. Travis steps through and lays it up. Melbourne have 90.
It's too many. We've still got 6.5 minutes to go. And more importantly, they're shooting at 51% from the field. McVeigh finally sees some daylight, knocks down a 3.
And that's the one I was talking about. When he catches on the reversal, get your eyes up towards the rim. I know you want to run system, but right now, we're in a non-system phase of the game.
6 minutes remaining. Crowd of nearly 10,000 at John Cain Arena. While Achul diverse to Clark. Knocks it down. 16 for Ian Clark, his third made 3 of the game.
Well, the three-point line, you mentioned it early on. And there's Sean McDonald getting to the cup. They are 13 of 25.
Blistering.
The inability to take away the 3-ball. And some of them you live with. Some of them are just unbelievable shooters like Clark and
But Andrew, you've got to be up in Goldie. You've got to know you've got to limit his opportunity. He's taken 9 threes, and most of those were good looks. That's on Tasmania.
Good looks for him. Not necessarily good looks for everyone else. But your point is valid, is you've got to do something extraordinary to keep him off the 3-point line. Ooh, that's all ball.
Travis has been amazing on that end of the floor. As Drummock's going to have a seat and think this one through.
Luke Travis' 4th block of the afternoon.
look, doesn't give up.
A lot of ball. That's a block. That's just...
Timeout! Tasmania!
Looks awkward, but that's all ball.
Timeout called by the JackJumpers. 5 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. It was Melbourne who led by 2 points at quarter time, but since then, they have completely taken over this game. They had 93 on the board, and across the regular season, Derek Rucker, Tasmania allowed the fewest points per game, only 84 per game. So Melbourne have put a big number on the JackJumpers today.
They have, and they've done it at a really high rate, and that's what would be concerning. Scott Roth, Golding, 7 of 11. Ian Clark, 6 of 10. Joe Lawala-Chul Jr., 8 of 10. That's, your star players are working at that rate. You're going back on that plane with an L.
And the quality of shot, a lot of it coming from their offensive transition. They've dominated the glass. Second shots have hurt them. And the fast break points, it's heavily skewed towards Melbourne United.
And Delhi again, just playing the sound floor game. It's interesting to compare his game and how he played earlier in the season compared to how he is now. He went through the phase earlier where he was trying to shoot and score a lot, but now he's just settled into a nice rhythm, and he's playing really smart, winning basketball from the point guard position.
Well, the fast break points is 16-0. And I think that's where, if the JackJumpers try to control the tempo, they need to find a way to look at some transition baskets a little bit more. Now, they haven't had a lot of opportunities, but somehow or other bringing that as a point of emphasis to get some cheaper baskets.
Now, what can Tasmania take out of this last 5 minutes? You're talking about setting up for game 2, and it definitely is a marathon. It's not a sprint, but what can this last 5 minutes mean to them heading into next Friday?
Well, naturally, you're still pushing to try and win this game, but Drew, I'd be looking for some offensive sets, some type of scheme defensively. You see they're up the floor. Maybe this is something that they can go with early in game 2. So you're always trialing and experimenting and trying to pierce this Melbourne United talent.
And also it's a time to have a look at maybe some different defensive schemes, how you might want to guard Chris Golding.
Yeah.
Give it a look to have some real game time evidence of whether or not the likelihood of certain strategies working.
Fail, fast break.
Most importantly, don't quit. There's a travel.
Should have pulled up and shot that one.
Just playing through and keep defining and playing towards your character, which is never say die. Make sure you don't ease up. Continue to play hard.
Game 2 will be next Friday in Tasmania at My State Bank Arena. Good luck getting a ticket for that one. And next Sunday, we'll be back here for Game 3, a little later start. Next Sunday, there are still tickets available via Ticket Tech. 5:30 tip-off next Sunday afternoon. Hope that's not too late for you two gentlemen.
Hey.
See, that was indecisive, Andrew. Didn't quite know if he wanted to throw the lob or shoot the floater and got caught in between.
Nearly allows that shot clock to run down to 7. Lawala-Chul has had a big afternoon. Can't add to his 18 points. Go with 9 rebounds as well. It's an 18-point differential between these two. There has been no space whatsoever for Milton Doyle.
It's a good hustle by Shea Illy. So he fights over the top. He's behind, but he still contests it.
Behind, 13.
Foul will be on Sean McDonald. From behind, that'll be his third. Shea Illy will be shooting free throws.
Excellent call, hard fall.
And we talk about what the JackJumpers want out of these last couple of minutes. Melbourne United is about, let's continue to just pound away and do whatever we can to make this margin as high as it possibly can, just to sow that seed of doubt. Now, I don't think it does at this level. You know that you can have these games, that can get away from you can bounce back really quickly, but I still think that there is something in the back of your head when you just cop that.
But Drew, we've played in games where you're blowing a team out and you get sloppy at the end, and it just doesn't feel good when you go back in the change room.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I understand that it's not about how, it's about how many at this point. But still, as a basketball player, you know when you drop your standard, and especially Dean Vickerman would not want that to occur right here.
Magnay, we haven't seen a lot of this afternoon. Only the 12 minutes because of foul issues. If things are going to change in game 2, then Will Magnay needs to be an enormous part of that change for Tasmania.
Well, Andrew, that hot streak they went on was with Lee starting.
Yeah.
And Magnay coming off the bench.
We started the vast majority of the season. Now, the recent form and what Magnay's been doing, you can understand why they made that change.
But
and certainly now with a bit of doubt about Lee's injury, it looked like he, either the pec or the shoulder that he went down with, it may, hopefully there's nothing too serious, but that may come into question as well. And Will, he's having a hard time of it from the free throw line. 4 of 10 for Magnay. The good thing is he's getting there. He just got to figure out a way to be a bit more efficient.
So go back to that starting lineup, you two. Are you thinking that Will Magnay, he's picked up fouls early, so you're thinking that when he comes in after a few minutes, the steam kind of goes out of the game a little bit. Is that suiting him better than being out there at the very start, do you think?
Well, the evidence says so based on the regular season, and seemingly he was comfortable with coming off the bench, and they were functioning really well, so perhaps it's something that they look at again. And also it puts Will Magnay in a rotation where he's going to have to go against Ariel Haporte as Golding lets one fly from Keylor.
That's true. But you look at Magnay, what he did when Lee wasn't there because he got suspended, he single-handedly put on a show. Yep. And when he started that situation, it was a special night.
Well, maybe that's the exception.
Yeah. And then,
you know, and this is why coaches have to go and make these decisions, and these are difficult because based on discussion, there is no wrong answer.
Timeout by Melbourne United. Snooze timeout. A couple of minutes to play in game 1. It's been a big afternoon, a big crowd at John Cain Arena. And it has been all Melbourne United, and Scott Roth just searching for a few answers as they head towards game 2. Dean Vickerman, on the other hand, is going to take a really, really nice 1-0 series advantage into Friday. And there is a long way to go in the series, but this is potentially what's up for grabs for Dean Vickerman later on if Melbourne are successful. That would put him with 4 championships in the most elite of company.
And with a talent base, Andrew, that in the coming years is not going to deteriorate.
No, it's not. It's always a challenge to be able to keep all the guys together, but there's enough veterans on this group that once you have that taste of winning and you're in a program where you feel real comfortable with, no reason why you want to move unless it's for some sort of Godfather offer that you can't refuse, like you took every now and again, Derek.
There's Dave Stevenson, the NBL's CEO.
And the Premier of the state as well.
Of course, Jacinta Allen. Everyone wants a piece of game 1. I'd imagine it'll be the same way next Sunday. Game 2 on Friday night in Tasmania, though, before that.
Luke Travers is a high-level defensive player. Held position, point of attack.
Can
got
guard
the full package, yeah.
Come guard multiple positions. You feel comfortable with him if he switches onto a big, or if he's got to guard a little, he can keep him in front.
Drimmick reaching in.
Now, there's another strategy, Andrew, that we see from time to time where Tasmania can try and disrupt Melbourne emotionally in these final minutes.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see too much of that.
As long as Anthony Drimmick's on the floor, there's a possibility.
Right.
Are you not familiar with his body of work? Great three-point shooter from the corner. Good defender. Feisty.
Oh, yeah. In the right way, though. I think he does it the right way. Shane Gilly, who's had an up-and-down game, or quiet game offensively, but 2 of 8 for his 8 points. But, again, it's what he does on the defensive end, and he shuts Jordan Crawford down to 3 of 12 and made life real tough for Jordan Crawford.
Nice touch from Clint Steindl. Puts it back under 20 points. Extended pressure from the JackJumpers, but this has very much been a victory lap. In fact, the entire fourth quarter has felt like a victory lap for Melbourne. They took a 13-point lead into three-quarter time and extended on that even further. And then Clark has 18 for the game.
You just see his class and the ability to lift his game when needed in big occasions. And this has just been a fantastic start for Melbourne United as a team. And Krislovic is down, back in play. That's why the ball's being held up. Melbourne United been very sporting.
Held it up for as long as they could. Eventually, an easy bucket for Luala Chul. I mean, Krislovic with a leg issue. Let's have a look here.
A little roll, I think. Roll of the ankle. Wasn't huge. Yeah, inside it. I think it twisted to the inside. Is that how you saw it there? But Melbourne United...
I actually don't watch these ankle injuries anymore, Andrew. I've given up on watching them. Too painful.
So Melbourne United cleared the benches. And probably a smart move with 1 minute to go. Ensure that there's nothing to some of the tomfoolery that you were advocating for, Derek.
Oh, wow.
Tom Vodanovic into the game. Brad Newley in his final season here in the NBL. Also seeing some championship minutes. Drummond plays it up.
And it's an example of how in the playoffs you shorten your rotations. And you look at it, the Melbourne United and a guy like Flynn Cameron, who was playing some decent minutes. There's Jackie Rewalt enjoying retirement. But Flynn Cameron is a high-quality player that, as they shorten the rotations, has only played briefly in that series against Illawarra in 1 game. And gets a bit of on here to close it out. And even some of the other guys, the minutes of some of the guys come down because you go to your main players. Ian Clark is one that, you know, almost 27 minutes. He's around, usually, I think, my memory is about 22, 23 ago.
Yep. Well, Haporti only played 12 tonight. Was very good in the 12. 7 points, 7 boards.
But across the board, they might be down a lot more than what they would be. And your starters, or your top 6, 7 frontline guys, their minutes generally go up a few.
And Jack, I think this is the type of victory that Melbourne United have been looking for a couple of months. They haven't put one on like this, and they did it in game 1 of the championship series. Big time confidence will be gained from this performance.
One thing we know for sure is this JackJumpers team, they'll bounce back.
Oh yeah.
They highly resilient.
Brad Newley drives and scores. Great moment for the veteran. We mentioned it's his last season as a professional player. He's been such a star of this league for a long time. He wants to go out with a championship. And he gets championship points and then a championship foul.
Good on Brad Newley, a veteran when you think two-time Olympian. 9 seasons, I think it was, in Europe, and a marquee player in this league for a long time, but just to have a love of the game. A lot of times the coach will ask you, come down with a veteran like him, hey, do you want to go on in this last minute? And they'll give him the respect, and he clearly said, yep, I want to be a part of this. I want to be out there, and that's to his absolute credit.
Anthony Drimmick can certainly hold his head high. 17 points, make that 18. On 6 of 8 from the field.
Black kid, both of you. We don't need it.
He tried his hardest.
Play smart, play smart.
Unfortunately, didn't have enough support. Crawford, he's called for his third. Free throws to come for Flynn Cameron.
This is an example of playing it out. A lot of times the coach will call up the troops, back it up, and you see Melbourne United dribble it out. But the Jackies, they're up and in, and that's what we love about them, playing it out.
Cameron to shoot 2. He misses the first. John Casey.
This is very unlike the Tassie JackJumpers to be giving up a century. You know, Melbourne are just the 5th team that have got 100 against them in their 3 seasons. And 106 is the highest score against them in regulation at any stage. 108 in overtime by Illawarra this year is the most they've ever given up.
Final moments of the game. Drimmick searching for one last bucket. Melbourne throw the first punch, and it's a big one. A statement victory in Game 1 of the Championship Series. Winners this afternoon, 104-81, and they lead 1-0.
Well, Andrew, they continued outstanding offensive form from the previous series, and then they brought the Melbourne United defense that we've grown accustomed to under Dean Vickerman, and they put the hammer to the JackJumpers in Game 1.
And they brought the free ball. 14 of 28, 50% from the three-point line, and led by Chris Golding with those 22 points. He came out white hot, 6 of 10 from the three-point line. That's an area that the JackJumpers are going to have to work on if they're going to get back in this series.
And we'll be back on Friday in Tasmania at My State Bank Arena. That JackJumpers group that you can see have got a lot of soul searching to do between now and then.
Well, they've got to come out and figure out a way to put 40 minutes of solid basketball together, and they'll be boosted by their home crowd. Make no mistake about it, Drewy.
Oh, yeah, it's a vastly different environment in Tasmania, and that's what it's supposed to be. They came in to a real hostile JLA today, and it makes it tough.
And you may disagree, but I feel nothing is lost by losing this Game 1 if you're Tasmania.
Well, it's more the way you lose, and there's some questions that they need to, and problems they need to solve, but they've been one of the best at solving problems throughout the course of the season.
Let's get over to Nerily Meadows.
I've got Joe Luala-Chul and a whole family affair over here as well. JLA, 20 points, 9 rebounds for yourself. How pumped up are you personally ahead of this game?
Yeah, we know how important it is to win these home games. And, I mean, it was a group effort. CZ was unbelievable. Delhi set the tone, Shilly set the tone, and I just try to follow after those guys. So we're all players of the game.
A couple of huge dunks, though, from you back-to-back, which really set that run going. How happy were you to provide in that way?
I'm just happy we won. It's a grand final. It's my first real grand final. Last time we won, it was during COVID, so the atmosphere was great. The fans were great, and this is kind of the games that we live for as basketball players.
And then, obviously, you move on to the next game, Game 2 in Tassie. It's going to be a very different beast. They're going to be against you. How are you going to go?
It's fun. Tassie is one of the best places to play. They're on top of you. They're loud. Like I said, like this is what we live for, you know? So we're looking forward to getting there, and hopefully getting another win.
He looks pretty happy right there. They're very happy in the Melbourne United camp.
Thank you.
As they should be as well. Winners today in Game 1 of the Championship Series, 104-81. Big statement first up from Melbourne United. We're back to wrap it up on the other side of this in the Hungry Jacks NBL.